Inside Thursday night, how's it going? Alright, strip back, good crack, multi-trade podcast. Share the knowledge you know, help to make our sector grow. Everybody's learning from experts and the journeyman. Insights.
Welcome to another episode of Insight, the Strip Back podcast. I'm Stephen Buckley.
And I'm Keith Delahan.
And this podcast is sponsored by Robus Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company.
And in association with Snickers Workwear Ireland.
Let's get into it.
We've got Safe Connect and we've got Carl James from Iris who's joined us, and he's travelled all the way from England to come over and explain what Safe Connect is. But before we get into that, Carl, I'd like to let our listeners know just a little bit about yourself and how you got into working for Iris.
Cool. Thanks a lot for the invite, guys. Really, really cool. So my background's electrical wholesale. I've worked in the industry for about 25 years. I've worked for Nuin Air, who were previously, they're Rexel now, but they used to be called Nuin Air. Did 12 years there, worked in lots of different roles, and then did 10 years at Edmondson's, similar roles. And a few years ago, decided that I wanted to explore different avenues of work. So I moved over into the manufacturing side of the industry. Joined a company called Hensel. So I was there for a couple of years, working closely. They decided to open up Hensel UK. So I did that for about 2 years, and then was approached by Iris, who are owned by a UK guy, and he's moved the business over to Florida, and everything is manufactured in-house in Florida, Bradenton. And really liked the business, really liked what they had to offer, their core values, and joined in June this year, and just looking to build some brand awareness, get out and do some talking to different people like yourself. And yeah, exciting times ahead for Iris as a business in the UK.
Yeah.
Look, well, what we'll do, but just before we get into the nitty-gritty of Safe Connect, for any of our visual followers who are watching this on Spotify or are watching it on YouTube, what we'll do is and Keith has brought in, he's been good enough to bring in a bit of hot water or boiling water.
Yep.
It's on the desk here right beside you. Keith, if you'd like to bring Carl up to the screen, and we'll drop a couple of your Safe Connects in, and we'll just give people a bit of a visual of what's going to happen to them.
Yep.
And I'll stay here, I'll try and talk through it a little bit, and then what we'll do is then we'll come back then and we'll dissect that.
So the simplest way to explain Safe Connect, it's a visual indicator for over temperature. There's a lots of different range of products. So this particular one that we're going to put in the water is the thermoclip.
Right, so you're sticking the big thermoclip in, so that would be around the cable in a distribution board, and what it's going to do is obviously simulate overload or overheating on that circuit. And
so 53 degrees is a first degree burn. So the colour lock technology for the thermoclip locks in at 70 degrees, which is going to break down the insulation of the cable. And it's critical because
straight away there you can see the colour is changed. Like
in the sample packs that we have, we always put one of the clips in there to show you the colour that it changes. So that's the colour that it changes to, and that's patented technology. So Iris have got about 20 patented products. So the clips come H1 up to H5. So H1 would do 2.3 to 4.2 mil overall diameter, and H5 would do 23 to 31 mil overall diameter. We also do thermospot Bs, which can be used on buzz bar. We do thermospots, which can be used on plug tops. They change colour at 52 and they change to a red, so you know there's an issue. It's just a visual, so you don't need to be electrically trained or mechanically trained to know from a visual aspect that there's an issue. We do thermo paint, which can be painted directly onto buzz bar as well. Thermo T-Max, which is a bit like it's a thermometer, Thermo TA's thermometer, Thermo T-Max, and then thermo wraps. So anything that you would need that would be bigger than the H5 clip, thermo wraps come in 70 degrees and 90 degrees, and they can be wrapped directly down directly around SWA cable, and they change to black when there's an issue.
It's brilliant. So you've literally covered all situations there. I know me and Stephen have talked the last couple of weeks, and we were really anticipating you coming over. But I know myself being in the renewables and the solar game as well. I just think it's kind of an ingenious thing to have, to be able to protect yourself as a company.
Yeah, I mean, we feel there's no limitations to where you can use the product. Like I said, my background's electrical wholesale, so I'm used to dealing with domestic, commercial, and industrial sectors. As a business, we specialise in infrared windows, so the product was designed and sort of added to the current range of products that we already do.
Yeah.
Iris have got an ecosystem of products, so we do online training, we do infrared windows, we do thermal and thermal imaging, we do handheld cameras. We try and offer a solution. So we don't really try and sell anything. We try and offer a solution to companies. And we're a very sustainable business as well.
Yeah, and obviously Keith mentioned there within the sector that he works in predominantly, but I come from a maintenance background.
Yeah.
And, PPMs that come up for us would be distribution board checks. And I'd be going in with my thermo gun.
Yeah.
And it would be great, and I think this is a great time-saving product as well, to be able to go in, and as soon as you take off that cover, straight away you can see an issue, and you know exactly where you need to focus your maintenance on, where that bit of time that you're saving could be the difference between the unit within that panel destroying its neighbours as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
With overheating and burning. And I just think having something like that's a time saver, not just for, cost saving in regards to money and time, but in regards to the potential for further damage is amazing. So in regards to a certain sector that you would predominantly go in, it's not limited to any sector at all, is it?
Not at all, no. And we like to think of ourselves as disruptors as well. So most people will have been trained in a certain way, so they think that this is when things break down. There is no reason really for why things break down.
Yeah.
They can break down at any time. You could run two things simultaneously, and one might break at the beginning of its life cycle, and one might break down at the end of its life cycle. What we're trying to say is, why wouldn't you do more periodic inspections to make sure? Because the last thing you want as a business. We were talking off camera about data centers. Data centers are going up at a rapid rate. We deal with a lot of data centers, and a lot of data centers have actually reached out to us about the product because they like the fact that you don't have to be electrically trained or mechanically trained to know from a visual inspection that there's an issue.
Yeah. Non-invasive indicators are amazing for all sectors, and to be able to add on after the fact, is brilliant. And even within the solar game, like with DC cabling and everything like that, you don't want to have to be disconnecting DC cabling unless you really have to. Obviously, having something like that within that game, I think, is amazing. And isn't it great, to have an indicator, like in, say, like a car, showing up an issue, and you've got an indicator on your car screen saying that there's a problem. That if Keith was to go into a domestic job tomorrow to fit a car charger, that when he took somebody's panel off, that all these clips are in the board, that he can let that client know straight away, you've actually got a problem there on your shower circuit. You've got an overloaded circuit there, and I'm going to be able to look into that for you, where he wouldn't have known it otherwise.
No, we've got a mission statement, so we want 0 accidents, 0 injuries, and 0 fatalities. You guys are in an industry where every day you're putting your life at risk by dealing with something that's really, really dangerous. So why wouldn't you want to have that extra fail safe
100%.
before you walk up to something and touch anything that from a visual aspect, there's a problem here.
I'm just seeing it totally from the customer's side.
Yeah.
So if you're going in as a electrical contractor, maintenance electrician, maintenance company, and you're going to them lengths to fail safe that system, and a lot of people, don't actually understand an MCB, right? So bad connection on MCB, the MCB is not going to trip. You know what I mean? But because of that bad connection, you're getting the overheating side of it. And these clips, tapes, strips are going to show that. Do you know what I mean? And even to the point you can go into an already installed installation. It mightn't be necessarily one that you installed yourself.
Yeah.
But you could be doing a neighbouring, like Stephen said, a neighbouring fuse board, and you being able to offer that to a customer. I could only imagine the customer is going to hold you in high regard, especially in the game Stephen's in.
Yeah, I think it's, it comes down to, as Keith said, fail safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're getting into that stage now, and products like this that are coming out like that are going to prevent an accident or an issue happening.
Yeah.
Rather than,
it's foreseeing an accident before it's an accident.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
The last thing you want, I think, I'm pretty sure I'm saying the second biggest fire risk in the UK is electrical heaters.
Yeah.
If you could add an extra element of safety to that with a sticker, or a
it's
clip,
such a simple thing.
It's such a simple thing. So
yeah, and even I'm thinking as a business to even upsell yourself. If you're going into a customer, I'm thinking on the domestic end. If I offered that to a customer, they're not going to say no. I know it's a selling tactic, but how can you present something to someone and say, look, this, like, we've done the install to the best of our ability. Periodic inspections are needed every 2 to 3 years. But if you have this installed as well, it gives you an extra level of protection. Why wouldn't you put it in? People are going to buy it. People are going to put it in. I know myself, I'd have to put it in my board. You know what I mean?
I'm right in saying, obviously, I'm not an electrician. I've been in the industry a long time.
Yeah.
So the BS standard for a periodic inspection is it every 5 years?
Yeah.
So
a lot of people.
Your car's MOT'd every year. Why are you periodically inspecting something that's electrical every 5 years? For me, from somebody that's not electrically minded, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
And we use this term all the time, don't we? Best practice. Well, that's fine, but if you've not been, we talk. I watch a lot of different people's podcasts because obviously I like to stay up to date with different people. You see stuff, safe isolation, those types of things.
Yeah.
Best practice. There's a big call at the moment as well for training the next generation. It's you're only as good as the person that's trained you. So from my perspective, coming from electrical wholesale, we always talk in the electrical wholesaling game about box shifting.
Yeah.
Wholesalers are not the same as they were when I joined 25 years ago. I had to learn about every product. So I had to know a bit about everything because I would be explaining to you what a good product was.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just come in and say, I just want the cable, I want this. I'd be saying, oh guys, have you seen this new product?
Yeah.
That's what this product is. I've tried to work for companies that think outside the box, innovative products.
Yeah.
We spoke off camera again.
Yeah. That's what I got from you.
I said about Gripple. Gripple's the same thing. Linian clips. I stocked linian clips before anybody knew what a linian clip was. And I put them in because I saw the benefit
Seeing the
of them.
potential of them, yeah.
Because they're time saving. Okay, they might be a little bit more expensive, but the F&B of it, the feature and benefit is that it saves you time. Yeah. And time is the most precious thing that any of us have.
Yeah.
And how great would it be for yourself, Keith, if you were to go out and buy like a CP fuse box or a Hager board or a Garrow board, and these were in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, from the get-go.
Added value.
Yeah.
You imagine the safest consumer unit on the market has Safe Connect.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, Carl, the inspection every 5 years. Like, we've mentioned it a couple of times on the podcast. It all depends on where your fuse board is. If you're living beside a train track, you can't say, like, I wouldn't be happy telling that person, come back to me in 5 years and we'll do a visual inspection on that board. That's going to get vibrations. Like, that, to me, that would be every year, every 6 months, just get an electrician out to pop the board off. But, like, if you get loose connections because of that train, and like we pop the board off and we see there's no overheating, it means basically there's no loose connections.
There's so many variables as well that you can't even see.
Yeah.
What if, there's I mean, I've had PAT tests done. When I used to work for Edmonton's, we obviously have to have a PAT test every year. Mm-hmm. So many times that I'd come in the morning and you could smell, and you'd go down and somebody had left, something plugged in or whatever else. It's like you've said, it's a fail safe. It's such a great idea.
Yeah, just have the thermal spots on the plugs even. Yeah. Such a simple thing, but like I don't know, could save you hundreds of thousands if it caught fire, you know?
When these are installed, is there a shelf life for them within
So
the...
there's a 5-year lifespan of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of obviously the technology and obviously it's called thermochromic.
Yeah. So obviously a lot gone into it,
Yeah. Obviously, as a product within the industry, it's been well received. It's myself and Keith were at the Electrical Magazine 2024 awards, and this product got most innovative product of 2024, which must have been great. Like, it's great to see that brilliant. It's been accepted. How has that rolled on since? Like, has it been well received?
We've won quite a few awards. We've won a maintenance award, we've won a security award, we've won an innovation award. What I like about it is that there's no moving parts to it.
Yeah.
So I think some people will probably say, well, why wouldn't this product win? Because this is more, this is more technical, or this is more blue chip. But how we use the term KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
If you look at all the really, really successful brands, they've all been. I remember when the iPhone first came out, and it's really, really simple. It's just a screen.
Yeah.
The best brands try and keep things as simple as possible. People don't like to be confused.
No, user friendly.
There's nothing more simplistic than a clip that you put onto a cable.
Yeah.
You could if you had an apprentice, you could task him with putting these on. Like I said to you before about the sectors, nuclear sectors. We've got a lot of customers in the nuclear sector. People users on the railways. We've got private labels, so we work with a lot of OEMs as well with our infrared windows.
Yeah.
We're relatively unknown because we sort of our products they tend to be hidden away in switch panels and away from the naked eye, so you wouldn't really see our products. We've grown 33% this year.
Yeah,
it's a really big. I honestly think that thermal imaging is going to become the norm. I think maybe the next couple of regulation changes. I think it's going to be. Yeah. I think thermal imaging will become the norm. Like I said, we've got a few other products. If we ever move on and we do other stuff, we deal with like FLIR, HIC Micro. So there's lots of other products that we do that we specialise in.
Yeah. Look, there's nothing wrong with an unsung hero,
Yeah.
And for anybody who's looking to learn more about Safe Connect and any other product that Iris does, where can they find you, Carl, online to contact you?
So I'm based in the UK. I'm the regional sales manager for the whole of the UK and Ireland. I'm always available on the phone. I've got an Instagram account which is Iris Inc. UK. There's a website which is www.iris.com. My email address is c.james@iris.com. And then I've got a business card. I'm on LinkedIn like any good business is. So just reach out if you just want to learn some stuff. I've got some sample packs that we send out to people as well, which has got a bit of a variety of the thermo clips, the stickers. We also do a paint as well, which can be painted on. So just reach out if you want to learn a bit more. I've got a PowerPoint presentation. Happy to jump on the Teams with anybody. So if you want to know more, we use a phrase at Iris. You only know what you know. Yeah. So why wouldn't you think outside the box and look 100%. At different products? You should always want to look for that next product. So
and just to reiterate for anybody who's listening and not watching, it's IRISS.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Cheers, Carl.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks a lot for the invite.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Right, Keith, another episode in the can.
Yeah, really enjoyed that one. Thanks very much for our guest for joining us this evening on the episode.
Yeah, 100%. And a big shout out to our sponsors, Robus Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company, and Snickers Workwear for their continued support on this season. If you liked what you heard, come back next time for more overload chat and guest interviews. And make sure you head over to wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a follow to be notified when the next one drops. Take it easy.
Talk again next week.